I didn't think anything was wrong at first. I honestly just thought my therapist was having an off day. But when he started talking like we'd had entire conversations that never actually happened, conversations about things I'd never told anyone, I realized something was seriously, seriously off. And the moment I confronted him, he panicked. And that's when the whole thing spiraled into something I never expected. So let me take you back to the day this all started, because none of it makes sense unless you see the whole picture. I've been going to therapy for about 9 months. Nothing dramatic, nothing like the wild stories you hear online. Just your standard, I'm trying to improve myself before the cracks get too big to ignore kind of thing. My therapist, Dr. Woodson, always had the same vibe. Calm, lightly sarcastic, the type of guy who drinks herbal tea but secretly wants coffee. We had a rhythm, you know? He'd ask thoughtful questions. I'd overthink them. And somehow we'd land somewhere that made my life feel less like a puzzle dumped out on the floor. That's why this whole thing hit me like a truck, because it didn't start with anything dramatic. It started with him greeting me like normal, or at least close to normal. I walked into his office, same soft lights, same weird painting of a banana next to a lighthouse, same chair that always squeaked like it was gossiping about you. I sat down, he smiled, and he said, "Good to see you again. How did things go with your brother after that argument?" I froze, because I don't have a brother, but I thought maybe he mixed me up with someone else. Therapists see a lot of people, right? Some confusion is normal. So I corrected him gently and said, "I think you're mixing me up with someone else. I don't have a brother." He blinked at me with this puzzled, almost offended look. Then he said in the calmest voice ever, "You told me about him last week." I laughed awkwardly. No, I definitely didn't. He frowned, leaned back, and scribbled something in his notes. Then he said, "That's all right. Memory sometimes resists things that make us uncomfortable. Now hold on. I knew damn well I didn't have a secret brother hiding in some mental closet of shame. But I brushed it off because arguing with a therapist about your own family tree feels like losing a battle you never signed up for. We moved on, but things got weirder. He started referencing things like he was flipping through chapters of a book I'd never read. Like, how did that conversation with your mom about the inheritance go? Inheritance? My mom is a kindergarten teacher. We're more likely to inherit her collection of glitter pens than actual money. I said, "I've never talked to you about any inheritance." He looked directly at me like he was studying my face for cracks and asked, "Are you sure?" That question made something twist in my stomach, because it didn't sound like someone checking for a mistake. It sounded like someone checking for a lie. I know the difference. You can feel it. After a minute, he dropped the topic, but the weirdness didn't stop. If anything, it escalated. He brought up a girlfriend I never had, an uncle who apparently apologized to me for something he never did, a breakdown at work that absolutely never happened. And each time I corrected him, his expression got more tense, more frustrated, more confused. At one point, he even said, "You talked about this in detail. Why are you acting like this is new?" And I swear, there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Fear. Not fear of me, fear of himself. But the moment that completely turned my stomach inside out came about 30 minutes into the session. He leaned forward, folded his hands, and said, "And how are you coping with your father's death now that the initial shock has passed?" I felt my lungs stop, because my dad isn't dead, he's very alive. He called me literally that morning to ask if I could help him set up his new phone because he accidentally made everything Portuguese again. I said, slowly, carefully, "My dad is alive." He stared at me like he couldn't hear, or couldn't believe me. Then he said my name soft, like you talk to someone who's on the edge. "We spent your entire last session processing your grief. You were crying. You told me everything." I didn't know what to say. I felt this weird coldness spread across my back, like someone opened a window behind me. I said, "I wasn't here last week. I canceled. You said you were sick." And that's when everything changed. His face went pale suddenly, instantly, like someone drained all the color out of him. He blinked, once, twice, then 3 times in quick succession. He whispered, "That's not possible." And I swear to you, the room felt too quiet, like all the little background noises vanished. He slowly reached for his appointment book, the old paper one he always kept even though he used an online system. He flipped back to last week and I watched his hand start to shake. My name wasn't written there. Not in pencil, not in pen, not crossed out, just not there at all. He checked the week before, and the week before that, nothing. He whispered again, "That's not possible." He looked up at me with this expression, fear mixed with realization, mixed with something I still don't have a word for. Then he stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. I need a moment," he said, already halfway to the door, and then he stepped outside. At first, I thought he was making a phone call, maybe checking something with reception, but a minute passed, then 3, then 5, and I could hear him breathing outside the door. Heavy, uneven, shaking. Not like someone who was angry, like someone who just realized they'd forgotten something enormous, or worse, remembered something that shouldn't exist. When he walked back in, he didn't sit down. He didn't look at me. He said one sentence in this oddly flat voice. "I have to end the session early. I'll refund you. Please leave through the back entrance." I asked why. He didn't answer. He wouldn't even look at me. I stepped closer, thinking maybe he needed help, panic attack, breakdown, something. But when I moved, he actually stepped back, like I scared him. This was the guy who'd literally seen me cry over a paper jam at work. He'd seen me at my lowest, but now he was reacting like I was some stranger in a dark alley. I said his name gently and he flinched. Then he whispered, I think I've been treating someone who wasn't you." My stomach dropped. "Someone who looks like me?" I asked. He shook his head violently. No, they didn't look like you. Not exactly, but they said they were you. They used your name. They talked about your life. They knew details, very specific details." He swallowed hard, and I didn't question it. My skin crawled. I said, "So someone pretended to be me?" But he didn't answer that. He didn't agree. He didn't disagree. He just kept shaking his head like the pieces weren't fitting together in his mind. I stepped closer again, trying to understand, and he took another step back. Then he said the sentence that still keeps me up at night. "It wasn't just that they claimed to be you. It was the way they predicted things." I blinked. "Predicted what?" He rubbed his forehead like he was in pain. "They would talk about things that hadn't happened yet, personal things, and then they would happen. Exactly the way they described." I laughed without meaning to one of those shocked, nervous laughs. "What, like a psychic?" He didn't laugh, not even a twitch. "I don't know," he said. "But they came for 4 sessions. 4. And everything they described about your life happened in the days or weeks following their visit." My whole body went cold. "How long ago was this?" I whispered. He hesitated. "Too long. 3 months." I felt my throat close. 3 months ago, that was when a weird chain of events started happening in my life. Things I couldn't explain, things that felt strangely connected. I thought it was coincidence or bad luck or life being life. But hearing this, it didn't feel random anymore. He kept talking, his voice shaky. "They told me about your job change before you got the offer. They told me about your neighbor's accident before it happened. They told me about your mother calling you with news before she even tried to reach you." I felt like someone unplugged me from reality. I whispered, "What did they look like?" He shook his head. "I don't remember clearly." I snapped, "How can you not remember a person who pretended to be me?" And he said with this horrified expression, "I didn't realize it at the time. My memory of them feels blurry, like trying to recall a dream." He rubbed his temple again, wincing. "I thought it was stress. I thought I was overworked. But now hearing you say you weren't here, seeing the blank schedule, I don't understand what happened. I don't understand why I never questioned it." I took a slow breath. "What did they tell you about my father?" He swallowed hard. "They said he was going to die, soon." I felt my legs weaken. I had to grab the side of the chair to steady myself. Then I said the only logical thing I could think of. "And what else did they say?" He hesitated, the kind of hesitation that makes your stomach twist, and said, "They told me that one day you would come in and say you didn't remember anything." Silence. Just silence. My heartbeat drowned out the room. Then, barely above a whisper, he added, "And they told me that when that day came, I needed to stop the session and send you away. Resave for Finend." That was when he opened the door again and said, "Please leave. I'm not supposed to talk to you anymore." I stared at him, unable to move. "Because a stranger told you to?" He didn't correct me. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He just repeated, "Please leave," with this trembling voice, like he genuinely believed he was in danger, not from me, but from something connected to me, something he didn't understand, or something he understood too well but couldn't admit out loud. I left. I didn't know what else to do. But the story didn't end there, because the moment I got home that day, someone had slipped a small white envelope under my door. No stamp, no name, just my first name written in handwriting I swear I'd seen before but couldn't place. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No greeting, no explanation, just one sentence: "Stop trying to remember what wasn't meant for you." And under it, a date. A date 2 weeks from now, a date that hasn't happened yet. I haven't heard from my therapist since. He canceled every future appointment. His office said he was taking an indefinite leave. And last night, my dad told me he's going for a checkup because he's been having chest pain. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's pretending to be me. I don't know how they knew things before they happened. I don't know why my therapist's memory feels dreamlike to him, and I definitely don't know what that date means. But something tells me this isn't over. Not even close.